Hi and welcome to Positively Sparking, podcasts on internet marketing, online business, entrepreneurship and digital living. Welcome guys to today's podcast, and here we are at the end of 2016 staring at the Christmas weekend right in the face. Have you got everything ready yet? Maybe you're listening whilst wrapping your presents, or maybe even you're fighting the crowds in a last minute shopping panic. Whatever you're doing, it's great to have you listening as always. Today's episode is going to be a review of some of the most popular quotes from our great podcast guests over the last 6 months. It's a fantastic honour to learn so much from our guests each week. And on this podcast, we're going to review some of the finer moments, put them all together and give you something to think about in those beautiful quiet moments of the festive period. You know, one of the most rewarding things we all get, well, we hopefully all get at this time of year, is a little space. And space can be a wonderful thing for plotting and planning our future. So here's a few of the many fine moments of the podcast, all chosen to give you something to think about whilst you're enjoying your mince pies, your glasses of wine, or whatever it is that you choose to relax this Christmas. I hope all of these help you give your business and online marketing some real insightful buzz to kick off that new year with. So here we go. Every business strives for perfection, and we would think that a pursuit of perfection is always a fantastic thing. But in September of this year, we interviewed Matthew Spur of Q. Q is a wonderful social media curation and marketing app that Matthew and his colleagues had developed by releasing what's known as an MVP, a minimum viable product. Now, by doing that, they released something that they consciously knew was not perfect. And what they gained from that experience was the feedback of users, which in turn allowed them to create another improved version of the app, which met the needs of those users. So let's hear Matthew's thoughts on why we should get something out there as soon as we can and build from feedback.
You actually need to sort of send something out before you're truly happy with it and just let the public at large say to you, this is what they want it to be. It's the perfect opportunity to actually have people tell you what they want this product to be. So it's, I think that's definitely important. And obviously that's a controversial way of doing things because traditionally, if you go along the normal route of going through building a business plan and then maybe getting some consensus from surveys before you even think about approaching anyone or taking it to market. It can take months and months and months, whereas this can take 2 days and you've got a product that people are saying, yes, I'd pay money to use this.
So how can you involve your customers more in the development of your products and services? It's a brave thing to do. Matthew states that in his entire podcast, that it's a new concept to go straight to the market and almost get your people on board as developers with you in whatever it is that you sell. So what can you do next year that involves your customers more? Are there any questions you need to ask yourself? It's a brave thing to do, to ask people who we want to buy our things if they would buy it. What if they say no? What does that mean? It can be personally hurting and it can damage your business as well, but it's such an important question. And the sooner we do that, the sooner we get our customers involved in what we're doing and aware of what we're about, then the closer we're going to get to finding what it is that they want, that we can give. It has to come from both sides. But we can hold things secret in many ways in life for so long. And the sooner we come out, get everything out into the world, it becomes real. And that's perhaps one of the big reasons that many companies develop for so long. Once it's out there, we get the truth. And the truth is always scary, but it's always the right way to go. So let's talk a bit more about bravery. When we are brave, incredible things can happen. And it's not easy to be brave. We sometimes think of us being something or not, like it is a black and white thing. But there is no such thing as a brave person. There is no such thing as a cowardly person. It's all about the moment. What can we do to make ourselves braver? What can we do to make ourselves... Sometimes we need to go the opposite way and make ourselves less bold. But all, in order to progress forward in our business, there are moments when we need to be brave. When we are brave, we take action. Something that Dina Behrman, the PR expert and guru, spoke about when she came on the show at the back end of September.
Yeah, just take action and don't be scared to give it a go and see how you get on, because even if you get rejected, which, when you're doing PR, there's going to be times where you contact someone and they don't get back to you, or you contact someone and they say, no, it's not for us at this time. So the earlier you get started with it and start getting that experience, the better it's going to be for you, and you're going to be able to start getting more positive responses. Just get out there and get started.
Feedback is a crazy thing. We all love positive feedback. We all feel great when someone tells us how fantastic we are, how wonderful something we did was. It's the opposite of negative. Negative feedback can stop us from trying something ever again. So when we are brave, as we were chatting about before, and the feedback is positive, fantastic. We just bound on and we project ahead and fly into the sunset. But when that feedback is negative, it's much, much tougher. It's actually through negative feedback that we learn our most valuable things in business. Certainly for myself, when I think back over my online career, it's when things have gone wrong that eventually I've found how to do something much, much better. And with that in mind, our wonderful podcast guest Simon Jones came on the show in October of this year and spoke about how when we learn from our lessons, we progress in business, and how it's important to do so in order for us to prevent the repetition of the same lesson over and over again.
And one thing I've sort of found with some of the clients I've worked with, where they'll sort of wax lyrical about the fact they've got 50 years experience, a lot of time when you sit down and talk to them, you realise they've only got the first year 50 times. And it's very important that people accept that they don't know it all, and they accept that it's not a weakness, but they've got to have their mind in a positive state, have a clear timeline, have clear diary planning, clear structure to their day. That's sort of my thoughts.
Are there any mistakes that you are finding yourself repeating over and over again? Any things that people say to you that come up again and again and again? And in turn, does that mean there are lessons that you are not learning? I think there are for us all. I can think of two for myself. And so in our business career, we often find that a lot of the answers are within. And yet we spend so much time looking outside for the answer. It's a new service, it's a new marketing method, it's the economy, I just need to wait until it changes, or I need to wait until this new thing happens outside of me that'll make everything fine. More often than not, the answer's inside. Those external things may well help, but the real answers are inside of you. One of the biggest lessons that we all have to learn in business is to truly recognize what makes us different. Our unique selling points, our ways of doing things, our own unique approach to what we do can most often offer the key to finding our most successful route forward. Business mentor Anne Hawkins came on the show this November and spoke about this very thing.
Differentiate. Sell on something other than price. Find out what you do that your customers love, and it could be good service, it might be better materials, it might be just something unique that you do that nobody else does because it's you. And very often in a small business, what people are buying into is the owner. It's not the product or the service, it's the personality of the owner and that personal connection that you can have, because in a small business you are the business. And that's really what people are buying, and nobody can imitate that. So even if there's someone providing a very similar service or a very similar product, they can't do it the way you can do it.
How many times do you see a website which is full of stock imagery and in no way gives us a feel or a look or an impression of the people behind the business? Why is that? Why do we hide what makes us unique in the world? Why do we not make that part of our business? What are you hiding from the world about the way you conduct your business, the way you make your products, the way you have a unique take on the services you offer? Understanding our points of differentiation are the key to making our business truly successful. It's a brave thing to do, to reach out there and show that level of yourself to the world reflected through your business. But if you can do that, then things can change. As Victoria Lum, the founder of Jolly Penguin, an ethically focused kids' clothing brand, discovered when we spoke to her at the end of November.
We were all shopping in the same places. We were all offering the same fabrics. Maybe slightly different designs, but very similar. And there was nothing that made my business stand out. And it meant I had no clear identity, nothing that said, if someone was walking down the street in an item of clothing that I'd made, nobody would know that it came from me. So if you look at bigger brands like Bowden or Frugi, people instantly know that's a Frugi t-shirt. And that was something I wanted, was that brand recognition, that people could see one of my t-shirts and know that it was from me. So I spent a long time working with a graphic designer, and she created the images that you see on my applique t-shirts. And then I digitized them to use with my embroidery machine, because I have a rather large embroidery machine that does a lot of the work. And for me, it was a case of starting by what would sell well, and then looking, secondly, how can I make this mine instead of just being yet another person selling yet another t-shirt?
Are you recognizable? What differentiates you from everyone else who does what you do as well? Do you know what makes you different? Have you cemented that into all of your communication and marketing? And what can you do in 2017 to ensure that you do not become just another whatever it is that you do? Sometimes our point of differentiation comes through a new opportunity, something that we see that no one else has yet seen. Peter Billigan was our guest in early December. He has created a unique space for himself as an online consultant to the funeral industry. Peter spoke about a lot of new things, a lot of new ground that perhaps most of us have not even considered, as he has encountered and discovered how death is entering the digital age just like every other part of our lives. Listen to Peter here talk about some very new services and offers that he has built his new business around.
What I'm looking at this moment in time is really two areas. And the first area you could say is after death. And that is working with funeral directors and working with families who've lost someone and looking at, well, what do you do about your digital estate? And people don't consider these days that, yes, a lot of people will leave a will because they will leave a traditional estate. They'll leave some assets of some kind, but they don't really consider that they've got a digital estate. And I talk to people about that because we've all got so many accounts, apart from social media. We might have banking, we might have betting accounts online, you name it, payment systems, PayPal, all that kind of stuff online. And sadly, what happens is that somebody will pass away and nobody knows anything about that. They can sometimes have loads of photographs or memories that are tied up on a computer that nobody knows the password to, and it's really as if all that information has gone for good. So I talk with people about that, and then also how they can use the internet to memorialize people, how there's lots of online platforms these days that people can use to build up the story of somebody's life that they loved and have lost on the internet for sort of generations to come. And then the other area that I'm working is sort of, you could say, before somebody's died, and trying to help people and say, here's some steps that you can take, and maybe you would like to think about what could you leave online as your digital legacy. My dad died when I was just in my teen years. I was 14 or so when he passed away. And although I've got some photographs of him, I can't remember what his voice sounded like. Well, these days with the internet, it would be so easy, and with smartphones and the access to recording information, to record some life stories and put those online. And there's lots of places that you can do that, so that sort of for future generations, say for my grandchildren or great-grandchildren, they could go and say, yeah, well, there's crazy great-granddad Pete, who was doing all these stupid things, but here's a bit of video of him, and that's what he looked like, and that's what he sounded like. And I think that's really amazing, and a change in culture, really, Phil.
Can you see how the uniqueness of Peter's business makes it so memorable? As Oscar Wilde once said, the only thing worse than being spoken about is not being spoken about at all. Now, we may think that Peter's business is too ahead of its time, that he will struggle to find customers. But we can say that about any point of differentiation. And that's actually one of the things that holds people back from focusing on their true uniqueness, because they perceive that the fact that everybody else in their industry does things in a certain way, that must be the only way that it works. And one of the beautiful things about internet marketing is we can really focus down our targeting and our promotion to reach the very people that we most want to reach, those that we perceive will most appreciate and understand our very unique offering. In one of our regular monthly podcasts, Neil Henry, director of Positive Sparks, spoke about how internet marketing in 2016 had become all about personalization. The ability to say different things to different kinds of people based on what we know about them from their behavior on our website or social media accounts, or from what we know about them via their demographical behavior on Facebook or on the Google network.
It's all about personalization of the messages and the things you do online, whether that's an ad or whether that's your web presence or a specific landing page. Everything needs to be personalized.
Personalization works in two ways. Firstly, we need to express who we are and what makes us unique in the way that we make our products or deliver our services. We do not want to express our business as some generic service or product maker that can be found in numerous other places. And secondly, we need to speak to individual and personalized customers, not a generic base of customers who we assume are all the same, because they are not. The more personal you make your business and the more personal you deliver your marketing, the more success you will have online in 2017. So what do you most want to happen to you and your business in 2017? Is there a tool that you wish existed? Is there a service that you believe if it could just come into recognition and existence, it would make your business flourish in the way you want it to? Has this podcast helped you channel your thoughts for the year ahead? I sincerely hope so. And if you take a little time to tweet me at Positive Sparks, what you believe will make your 2017 prosper and flourish, I will do everything I can to help you. As a little example of something you might choose, here's a chat Joe and I had at the very end of our last pre-Christmas podcast on our favourite productivity tools, where we were dreaming up what we would most like to appear and help us in our online marketing and online businesses in the new year ahead.
I think we need a new social media scheduling app, because at the moment I use three different scheduling apps for different reasons, and I think we need a bigger app that has everything that I need in it.
The weird thing is, that's what I wrote down. And I had one more thing to add to it, to build on what you said. I agree with it. We've got Buffer, we've got Hootsuite. They're all slightly different. There's many more than that. They're all slightly different in their own way. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing which seems to be perfect, at least not perfect for us. Mm-hmm. The other thing that I think they lack is a connection with social advertising.
Yeah, I do, yeah.
why do we only want to do organic posting? In 2017, we need to do both. Because
that would be good.
both platforms it's one platform with two opportunities to reach a market. So I think if someone could come out with something that combined the two together, they did it in a slick way, they'd be on to win it, and we would review it. There are always opportunities for new business. There are always opportunities to enhance the current business we have. We just have to look inside and listen outside. I want to thank you all for listening to Positively Sparking in 2016. It's been a real pleasure to make this podcast every week, and I hope you've gained something out of it. We have some big plans for the new year. We're off now until week commencing the 16th of Jan, where we're going to come back with an all-new version of the podcast for the new year ahead. In between then, if you are bored and you want some positively sparking words in your ears, then do check out some of the past episodes across the year. There's 50 there to choose from. We've got some great guests lined up for the new year, and if you would like to be a guest on the show, then do feel free to get in touch and let us know a little bit about you. We are always open to hearing great stories, and we desire to share those great stories for everyone to learn from. So have a fantastic Christmas, I wish you a wonderful new year, and I hope great things happen for you in the months ahead. My name is Phil Byrne, and I'd like to thank you for listening today. If you have any questions on anything you have heard in today's podcast, feel free to email your queries to podcasts@positivesparks.co.uk. We are an online advertising team who strive to help you thrive online. Want to know where to start with pay-per-click for your business? Download our free online advertising pack at positivesparks.co.uk/pack. Until next time, goodbye.